Hey there, knowledge seeker. Ready for a deep dive?
Let's do it. I'm excited for this one.
We're tackling endocrinology today.
Always a fascinating topic.
It really is.
It's amazing how much influence these hormones have.
It really is, and we've got a super fresh article from Biology Notes Online to dig into.
Oh, I love it when they're fresh off the press. What's the title?
Endocrinology definition, history, endocrine system.
Straight to the point. I like it.
Published just today.
Talk about cutting edge.
Right.
So we're diving deep into the world of hormones.
We are what they are, how this whole system works.
The intricate communication network of the body.
Exactly.
And we'll uncover some surprising facts along the way.
Oh, definitely. The history of endocrinology is wilder than you might think.
Oh, absolutely. Where should we start?
Well, before we get to the crazy stories, let's make sure everyone's on the same page. What exactly are we talking about when we say endocrinology?
Right. Got to lay the groundwork. Basically, endocrinology is the study of hormones.
Those chemical messengers that travel through our bloodstream.
And they're not just wandering aimlessly.
Oh, no. They have very important jobs.
They tell different parts of our body what to do.
And when to do it.
Like a complex internal messaging system.
It's essential for keeping everything in balance.
Exactly. Homeostasis, that's the magic word.
Keeping our bodies running smoothly even when things get a little crazy on the outside.
Think of it like a bustling city.
Ooh, I like this analogy.
We've got all these different systems, organs, tissues, cells, all working together.
And they need a way to communicate.
That's where hormones come in.
They're the messengers, zipping through the bloodstream, delivering vital information.
And that communication affects everything. Our growth, our metabolism, how we respond to stress, even our mood.
It's mind-boggling how much influence these tiny chemicals have.
It really is. But how did we even figure all of this out?
That's a great question, and it takes us back in time a bit. Get ready for some wild stories.
I do love a good origin story.
Well, some of the earliest insights into hormones came from, well, castration.
Whoa, starting with a bang, huh?
It's a bit of a strange place to start, but it makes sense in a way.
How so?
Well, people had observed for centuries that removing the testes, which we now know are part of the endocrine system, had dramatic effects on development and behavior, especially in men.
Ah, so they knew there was a connection, even if they didn't fully understand it.
Exactly. They knew something was going on,
Yeah?
but didn't have the tools or the knowledge to really explain it.
It makes you wonder what those early thinkers would make of what we know now.
I know, right? But those early observations, even if they were a bit ethically questionable, they did pave the way for a more scientific understanding of hormones.
And that brings us to one of the pioneers of endocrinology, Arnold Berthold, and his famous rooster experiment.
Ah, yes, the roosters. This is a classic. I have to hear this one again. So we left off talking about the pancreas. It's involved in digestion, but it sounds like it's wearing multiple hats in the endocrine system.
Absolutely. It's a multitasker, that's for sure.
Right, so it's doing all that digestion stuff.
Producing enzymes, breaking down food, the whole 9 yards.
Busy?
But wait, there's more.
Okay, tell me more.
The pancreas is also busy producing hormones.
No way. What kind of hormones?
Insulin and glucagon, just to name a couple.
Right, those are essential for keeping blood sugar in check.
Exactly. They're the dynamic duo of blood sugar regulation.
So we've got the pancreas pumping out digestive enzymes and keeping our blood sugar balanced.
It's a powerhouse organ for sure.
It really is.
Okay, ready to switch gears a bit?
Hit me.
Let's talk about the gonads.
The gonads.
Aska.
Isn't that getting a little personal?
Just a bit. But seriously, these are essential parts of the endocrine system.
Okay, fair enough.
We're talking about ovaries in women, tests in men.
Right, the powerhouses behind estrogen and testosterone.
You got it. And while they're crucial for reproduction, their influence goes way beyond that.
Oh, I bet. Hormones are rarely single taskers.
Exactly. We're talking bone density, muscle mass, even mood swings.
See, I told you it was getting personal.
Just a little endocrine humor for you. But it just goes to show how interconnected everything is within the body.
It's like a complex web, with each hormone affecting the others. But I'm curious, how do these messages actually get where they need to go? It's not like our organs have little mailboxes for hormones to land in.
Now, that would be convenient, wouldn't it?
Right. Imagine having to sort through all that endocrine mail.
But seriously, it's a great question. And it brings us to one of the most intricate aspects of the endocrine system, hormone transport.
Okay, so how do these messages get delivered?
Well, think of the bloodstream as a vast highway system.
Okay, I'm visualizing tiny little hormone cars zipping around.
I love it. But here's the thing, not all hormones are created equal.
Oh, what do you mean?
Their chemical properties play a big role in how they travel. Our source article makes a key distinction between lipid-soluble and water-soluble hormones.
Right, right. So it's all about whether a hormone is more comfortable hanging out with fats or with water, right?
Exactly. Solubility is the name of the game.
And that somehow affects how they travel through the bloodstream.
You're catching on quickly. You see, the bloodstream, like most of our body, is a watery environment.
Makes sense? We are mostly water, after all.
Exactly. So water-soluble hormones, they're right at home. They can just dissolve into the bloodstream and zip around freely, no problem.
So they're like those little cars with no traffic rules, just zipping to their destination.
I like that. But the lipid-soluble hormones, they're a different story.
I bet they need a little help to navigate that watery world.
Exactly. They need what we call binding proteins.
Binding proteins, what are those?
Think of them as little chaperones or maybe even taxis. They bind to the lipid-soluble hormones, making them temporarily water-soluble.
So they're like those little car carriers you see on the highway, transporting the hormones safely to their destinations.
A perfect analogy. These binding proteins, often produced by the liver, are essential for making sure those lipid-soluble hormones can actually reach their targets.
Fascinating. So we've got our hormones, some cruising solo, some hitching a ride with binding proteins. But how do they know where to stop? It's not like our organs have little addresses on them.
You're right. It's all about receptors.
Receptors.
Think of them like docking stations, each one specifically designed for a certain type of hormone.
Okay, so each hormone has its own unique receptor.
Precisely. It's a lock and key system.
I get it. Only the right hormone can unlock the response in the right cell.
You nailed it. It's all about specificity.
So what happens when a hormone docks at its receptor? Is it like a simple, hey, I'm here message?
It's a bit more complicated than that, actually. Think of it more like a chain reaction.
A chain reaction.
Yeah, when a hormone binds to its receptor, it sets off a cascade of molecular events inside the cell.
Wow, so it's not just a message, it's like setting off a whole chain of command within the cell.
Exactly. And that chain reaction can lead to all sorts of changes, altering what proteins the cell produces, how it uses energy, even how it talks to other cells.
That is incredible.
It really highlights the elegance and complexity of this communication system. We've come a long way from those early castration experiments, haven't we?
We have. And speaking of complexity, I'm ready to tackle another term from our source article, neurohormones. What makes these guys different from the hormones we've been discussing?
Neurohormones. They're like the special ops of the endocrine system.
Special ops. Okay, tell me more.
Well, most of the hormones we've talked about so far are produced by those specialized glands, right?
Like the pituitary, the pancreas, all those endocrine big shots.
Exactly. But neurohormones, they're produced by neurons in the brain.
Wait, neurons in the brain, so are they hormones or are they neurotransmitters?
They blur the lines, that's for sure. They're like the ultimate messengers, bridging the gap between our nervous system and our endocrine system.
So they're like the diplomats of the body, making sure the brain and the rest of the systems are on the same page.
Precisely. And they're involved in some pretty important functions, too, from our stress response to things like social bonding and even water balance.
Wow, it seems like there's a neurohormone for everything. How do they travel around the body? Do they follow the same rules as other hormones?
They do. Some neurohormones are released directly into the bloodstream, just like our gland-produced hormones.
So they hitch a ride on that endocrine highway system we were talking about.
Exactly. Others act more locally, diffusing through tissues to reach their targets.
It's amazing how much diversity there is, even within the world of neurohormones.
It speaks to the incredible complexity of this system.
It really does. To help me wrap my head around all of this, can we delve into some specific examples of neurohormones in action?
Absolutely. Let's start with a rock star in the world of neurohormones, oxytocin.
Oxytocin. Isn't that the love hormone?
You got it. It's often called the love hormone or the cuddle hormone.
I've definitely heard that. So it's involved in social bonding, right? Making us feel all warm and fuzzy toward each other.
Exactly. It plays a crucial role in social bonding, trust, and even parent-child attachment.
So when we hug someone, or maybe even just spend quality time with loved ones, oxytocin is flowing.
You got it. It's like our brain's way of reinforcing those feelings of connection and belonging.
Okay, so oxytocin, the love hormone, strengthens social bonds. But it sounds like it has other functions too. It's not all cuddles and fuzzy feelings.
You're catching on. Oxytocin is actually a great example of how one hormone can wear multiple hats depending on where and when it's released. Take childbirth, for example.
Childbirth, that's a far cry from a cuddle puddle.
Right. But during labor, oxytocin stimulates uterine contractions. essentially helping to bring those little ones into the world.
Wow, so it's like the ultimate bonding experience.
Exactly. And it doesn't stop there. After birth, oxytocin promotes lactation, facilitating that crucial bonding between mother and child.
So it's not just about romantic love, it's about those deep, primal connections
Yeah,
that are so vital to our survival. That's amazing.
it really highlights the power of these chemical messengers. Ready for another fascinating neurohormone?
Hit me with it.
Let's talk about vasopressin. You might also see it referred to as antidiuretic hormone or ADH.
Antidiuretic hormone. Okay, that name's a mouthful.
Yeah.
What's its claim to fame?
Vasopressin is all about maintaining the body's fluid balance. It acts on the kidneys, regulating how much water is reabsorbed back into the bloodstream.
So when we're dehydrated, vasopressin steps in to make sure we conserve water.
Exactly. It's like our internal hydration regulator.
Hmm.
And it's a perfect illustration of how our brains are constantly monitoring our internal environment and making subtle adjustments to maintain that crucial balance, that homeostasis we've been talking about.
This is incredible. We've gone from hormones being produced by glands to understanding how they travel through the body, find their targets, and even explored the fascinating world of neurohormones, those brain-body communicators. I feel like we've covered so much ground.
We have. We've really delved into the intricate world of endocrinology. From those early historical experiments to cutting-edge research, it's clear that our quest to understand these powerful chemical messengers is far from over.
It really highlights how much we've learned, but also how much more there is to discover, right?
Absolutely. It's a constantly evolving field, and that's what makes it so exciting.
Well, as we wrap up our endocrine adventure, what's the one key takeaway you hope our listeners will carry with them?
I think the most important thing to remember is that our bodies are incredibly complex, but also incredibly interconnected. Every process, every system is intertwined, and hormones are the unsung heroes working tirelessly behind the scenes to maintain harmony.
It's like a perfectly orchestrated symphony, with hormones playing every instrument.
I love that analogy.
And as we've discovered today, it's a symphony with many movements, unexpected melodies, and layers of complexity we're only just beginning to understand.
Exactly. And the more we learn about this incredible orchestra within us, the more we gain a deeper appreciation for the wonder of our own biology.
Well said. A huge thank you to you for guiding us through this fascinating world. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing and those bodies exploring.